Hello and welcome everyone to this week's Stellar Developer Meeting. This week we are talking to OpenZeppelin, and the primary focus of this week's meeting is the relayer service. So yeah, please introduce yourself and we'll get into it.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Thanks for having us. So my name is Dylan Kilkenny. I'm a software engineer at OpenZeppelin, and the past couple of months mainly working on the relayer infrastructure, the plugin systems, and specifically the Stellar integrations.
Hi, hi. My name is Sai. I'm the engineering manager, managing relayers and monitors at OpenZeppelin.
Hi, my name is Collins, a site reliability engineer supporting the relayer plugins that you are about to present.
Great, thank you. So we already talked a little bit about relayer, just very high level overview in one of the previous talks we had with OpenZeppelin. So I'm excited about diving deeper into what it is, how it works, and what you can do with it on Stellar. So please share your screen and let's get started.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Just 1 second. Okay, you can see my screen?
Yeah.
So what we've been working on the past few months, what's kind of worked towards is this managed Stellar relayer service. And like in a nutshell, what this offers is a scalable high throughput transaction service for the Stellar network. And there are a few components that were involved in the making of this. And of course, the first of all is the OpenZeppelin relayer. So I'm just going to go through like a few of the things that got us here and like what it took to build this. Like first of all, you've mentioned you've already spoken about like the relayer service, but just to go over quickly again, the OpenZeppelin relayer is an open source tool, and it simplifies the transaction management for multiple different networks, including Stellar. And what that means is like it'll handle the gas, it will handle the sequence numbers, the reliability, like the retries, if a transaction fails. So like this is useful for a number of reasons, such as gasless transactions or automating transactions, or like scalable workloads. But one of the valuable aspects of this type of tool is that it's secure, and secure key management is one of the most important features. And in the case of Stellar, we support KMS signing, turnkey signing, or local signers even. So yeah, a couple of months ago or a few months ago, we started working on a Stellar integration for this tool. And in doing so, we now offer full Soroban smart contract functionality. So it allows users to deploy contracts through the OpenZeppelin relayer. They can invoke contracts, then standard Stellar XLM payments. And like as I mentioned, this is included with KMS signing and turnkey signing. But there are some limitations to how you can send transactions through the Stellar network, and one of which would be the sequence number having I'm not sure how to put this clearly, but causing issues with scalability, like high throughput transactions. And so we were working towards developing some features within the relayer that will allow the Stellar relayers to scale larger. And one of the features that enabled us to do this was the relayer plugin system. So in a nutshell, what this does is allows us to extend a standard relayer with further functionality. So from a developer's perspective, what you would do is write some TypeScript code, and inside this plugin, you would have access to the relayer system for submitting transactions, signing transactions, querying state, etc. And you would still communicate to the OpenZeppelin relayer through the REST API, but you would be calling this plugin directly. And in the case of Stellar, we've used this system for developing a channels plugin. So the channels plugin allows users to submit transactions in parallel, and the key workflow here is that we use channel accounts for building the transaction. So in this plugin system, in this specific plugin called the channels plugin, we manage a pool of channel accounts, and the user sends a request and we acquire a channel account, we sign the user's transaction with that channel account, and then we submit it to the Stellar network with a fee bump transaction as well, so it's also gasless. So yeah, parallel transaction processing, automatic fee bumping, and this includes an SDK client so that users can quickly send transactions or painlessly. And I'll give a demo of that at the end of this anyway. But just to walk through the flow of what happens here. So from the client, the user will send a request. The request goes to the relayer, and the relayer invokes the plugin. The plugin then acquires a channel account. This channel account is managed by the relayer. But I must say, all of these accounts are managed by the relayer, but the plugin is able to lock one and then sign a transaction with that channel account. And that transaction is the one that the user sent. And we then wrap that in a fee bump and submit it to the Stellar network. Once the transaction confirms, we release the lock and we send the result back to the user. So the system is scalable by the number of channel accounts that we have to offer. So if we put 200 channel accounts in the system, you can send 200 transactions in parallel with one user account. And just quickly on the account pooling system we have here. So the plugin system behind the scenes is using Redis to manage the pool of accounts. So an incoming request comes in, we try to lock the account. If it's available, we can acquire it, process the transaction. If it's not, we try again on the next account. So it's pretty straightforward. And just quickly on the SDK client itself. So this is what it would look like for sending transaction. So we have this channels client, and right now the base URL is pointing at channels@openzeppelin.com, which isn't live yet. We're still working on getting that live either tomorrow or by Monday. But this could also be, you can also send these requests to your own self-hosted relayer, right? So this doesn't have to go through the managed service that we provide. So this plugin is all open source. The OpenZeppelin relayer is open source. So anyone can just spin up their own instance, manage their own channel accounts, but we will be offering this as a service and managing it all for you as well. So it's quite simple. Set up the client, and to submit a transaction, in this case, we're submitting a sorbent transaction, so you just provide the function XDR and the attached auth XDR. And an example of the response would be like so. So this is the transaction ID for the relayer and the hash for the transaction itself. So in the case of someone who is running a self-hosted version, they would want to manage the channel accounts. So there is some methods in the SDK that will allow you to list what channel accounts are available on the service and also add new ones. So if you needed to increase the throughput, you could add more channel accounts, or if there's some issue, you can remove some, etc. So yeah, in a nutshell, all of these things have come together, and we're offering a Stellar Relayers Managed Service. So this would include the relayer service itself and the channel accounts plugin, the SDK, but also the cloud infrastructure. So just a bit of a peek into what it takes to run this on the cloud. So we are using AWS Fargate for managing various number of tasks running the relayer service, and a shared Redis instance. So we have the same pool of channel accounts across tasks. And the client's SDK goes up through the Cloudflare proxy, sends it down to the load balancer, which then distributes it to whichever task is free. So yeah, that's pretty much the overview, and I can just give you a quick demo right now. But first, yeah, so this is just a demo script, as we've already seen how you would instantiate the client, and I have a little helper function here for building a sorbent transaction. And here we pass the function and auth to the client itself. So just want to point out first, though, that in order to use the service, you need to get a API key. So you can just call the domain channels.openzeppelin.com/gen to get an API key. And for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to add the API key here and call the demo script. So this is going through the staging environment that we have for the managed service right now. Okay, so the transaction is confirmed. Just to double check that. Yeah, transaction was successful. And just to demonstrate the parallel processing of this, I also have a parallel demo. So this is sending 10 transactions at the same time with the exact same account that I sent the demo transaction with previously. It's just one account. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions, let me know.
Great. So I'm a little bit curious about the managed service, because it seems like, of course, depending on your use case, that especially from maybe testing it out, it seems like a lot more convenient to just try it out with the managed service. How does that work? How do I get set up with that?
So we are finalizing the documentation and the SDK today. So once we have all of that documentation published on our site, your community will be able to access it, and it's a pretty straightforward setup, like as you've seen with the demo. Yeah.
Okay, great. And if I want to run this on, it is open sourced. I see it. I can run it on my own environment. What do I need? I saw you mentioned the Redis database. Is there anything else I need to set up to run it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in the documentation, we actually have all of this listed out, and we provided in the OpenZeppelin repo, OpenZeppelin Relay repo, an example configuration using Docker. So all what someone would need to do is go into the repo and run that Docker config, and it would spin up the service with the channels plugin already installed, and everything's ready to go. Like all you need to do is start sending requests to it. But the OpenZeppelin Relay, like Redis is required, of course. You need the relay installed and all the various other dependencies. But there are some example configs that get you up and running pretty quickly.
Okay, great. Sounds pretty easy though. What are the use cases? Who do you think are going to use this the most? Are there any specific dApp types or any use cases that you have in mind that you think will adopt this?
Yeah, like I think it's super good for someone who needs high throughput transaction processing, and also the gasless aspect of it is super convenient as well. So users don't have to worry about gas. They don't have to worry about sequence numbers. So you can see dApps like games or various other services that might want to use it. But even someone who wants to self-host this themselves, it's open source, so you can extend this any way you want. Like the core primitives are there, which is gaslessness, high throughput, like sequence number management, etc. And you can build on top of that, like whatever you need.
Great. Do you have any? I know you mentioned that the documentation and everything for the managed service is going to be available very soon. But do you have any examples of how to use it? I know you showed one, but do you have like a GitHub repo or an example library?
So we have a plugin repo up right now. Just 1 second. So there are some examples in this repo. I'm just going to share it in. Where should I share it?
Can you share it in post it as a comment?
Okay, comments. I shared it in the private chat because I don't think I'm logged in.
I'll just copy it over.
So yeah, there's a pretty extensive overview of in the README of this repo of how the plugin system works for the channel account. And once the service is live in production, like it's only a case of substituting your local relayer local host with the production URL. And also I'm just going to share the examples from the relayer repo as well. And that should give, honestly, with just these two things, you can get up and running locally pretty quickly.
Okay, great.
And this is the example in the relayer repo. And there's also a README in that as well, which is extensive and should get people up and running.
Yeah, I have actually gone through the READMEs and taken a look at it, and it does look, it looks like it's very detailed. So I just haven't tried to set it up myself yet. But I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, let me know if you have any feedback. I hope that it's simple, even though I think it is.
Yeah. Any questions from anyone watching? Then feel free to post it in the comments.
Carson, I just posted the documentation, which should be available on docs.openzeppelin.com. So I just sent the link.
Yeah, I posted it.
Thanks.
Great. Well, if there's no comments or any questions from, let me just check one more time. Doesn't seem to be the case. Well, it was great to get a little bit more information about the relayer and to see an example of how to use it. I think it's a super helpful tool, and I think for now, I think I will try using the managed version first when it goes live. It seems like an easy way for me to test out the tool. I don't necessarily need to spin up my own infrastructure for this. So I'll look forward to have an opportunity to play with it. And thank you everyone for watching, and thank you all three of you for joining today. And please go check out the links, take a look at it, and yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.